How's your day been? How's your week been? Mine's been alright. If you're new here, this is the Dishwashing Philosopher segment. I'm Rod, and, well, it's probably pretty obvious why it's called the Dishwashing Philosopher segment, because I'm washing the dishes and philosophizing. So if you're new here, welcome. I hope you'll stay. I started the carnivore way of eating about 5 months ago. I'd say I'd probably stuck to that 95% of the time, and I talk about my experience eating that way sometimes in this segment, and a lot of the time I talk about other stuff that's on my mind. Hope you find it useful. You know, not every day is going to be perfect. In fact, not every week, or perhaps sometimes every year, is going to be perfect. It's the nature of our existence as human beings. Related to that, I've been a chronic people pleaser pretty much my entire life. I can remember how I used to feel getting praise from my mother for vacuuming the floor or doing the dishes really well. Hi Mum, if you're watching this. I don't blame my mum for being a people pleaser. That was just one of those things that is part of my personality, and it can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's useful because it means that you endeavour to do things well, and other times it's not so useful because it means that you get upset when people don't like you. And the the fact is, not everybody's going to like you, and you've got to be okay with that. It was something that somebody told me today. They just gave me a different angle on the whole people-pleasing thing, is that it's really related to you want people to like you, and it's distressing when they don't. But the realization, the thing that was really helpful to me was to realize and acknowledge, well, not everybody's going to like you, and really, do you need everyone to like you? No, you don't. You just, a couple of friends would probably be enough. As long as they like you, as long as your family, some of your family likes you, because you may not like all of your family too, then you're probably okay. And the most important thing is, do you like you? Do you love you? Do you love who you are? Well, if you do, that's good enough. I think that's really all you need. And this can come up for you when you switch the way you're eating. So if you switch to how you used to eat, to eating the carnivore way, then that might be a decision that's not very popular within your family. It might not be popular with your spouse. It might not be popular with your church community. It might not be popular with your friends. If you're a people pleaser, it's going to be a sticky one, isn't it? You've really got to do something like changing your diet, changing your lifestyle, and really getting clear about why you're doing it. You're doing it for your health. You're doing it for how you feel. You're doing it because you're tired of being sick. You're tired of having aches and pains. There can be on the positive and the negative side, but you've really got to get clear about those things so that it really matters little to nothing at all what other people think. And I think it's especially important if you tend to be a bit of a people pleaser. Now, I also want to talk about getting discouraged before you start, which I have touched on previously, because in my experience, sometimes people get really enthusiastic about starting, eating the carnivore way, and they get discouraged right as they make that decision to begin. And, I've been thinking about it, and sometimes I think that some of the more popular influencers in this space, like Dr. Chaffee, for example, he is the body of a fireman poster, and the looks to go with it. And some people can, see that and go, well, it's just unattainable what Dr. Chaffee has achieved. And that can, I think, sometimes have people not begin at all. And you've just got to start where you are. I mean, you just have to accept your own limitations, whatever they may happen to be, and decide that the starting point for you is not where Dr. Chaffee is. It's where you are right now, all right? And use that as a basis for deciding, whether you're improving and getting better. So just take the information that someone like Dr. Chaffee or Dr. Berry or any of those other the influencers in the space have, but just use the information. And if they inspire you, then obviously that's a good thing too. You take that inspiration, use that to inspire yourself to move forward. But don't look at them and go, oh, that's something that I could never achieve. I mean, I think for a lot of people, it probably is something that you can never achieve. Does that mean you shouldn't actually begin and do the best that you can? Well, of course not. So, have a look at what you think is a reasonable goal for you, and it might be just like not eating sweet foods anymore, or it might just be losing 10 pounds, or it might be going for a walk every day. Just start with something small, start with something simple, and then build on that. Now, I mentioned last week my sciatica had come back, and that was a bit down in the dumps about that. It's still there. I'd say it has improved a bit, and something one of my, I think it's Jason Campbell, mentioned that how I'd added in cream, and was it a coincidence that the sciatica had flared up? Don't know, but I've left cream out for now, so thank you for the tip, Jason. And what I've noticed is that up until a couple of days ago, I really wanted to have some more cream, but now it's gone. So isn't it funny how you just got to write it out? I mean, it's really been pretty much 2 weeks since I've had any cream at all, and it's just one of those kryptonite things for me. It's like if I have it, I start to crave it. If I go without it for a couple of weeks, then I stop craving it. So I think I'm just going to leave it out for the time being. And the other thing that I've done is I've started to track my food intake. And the reason I started to do that is because I was just interested in what my macros were. I heard Anita from Ketogenic Woman mention that she tracks her macros quite religiously. A tip from her actually is she takes photos of her food, of her meals, throughout the day, and then she just enters it into whatever app she's using. I use Chronometer, or Chronometer, however you want to pronounce it. And then she just adds it in at the end of the day so that she doesn't have to remember what she actually had. So she ends up with a phone full of photos of all of her meals, right? So I started doing that, and the upside to that is that it does make me think about what I'm putting in my mouth. And so I'm going to stick with that for a while. I know that for some people, tracking their food intakes feels like that's way too much work. But, as I said last time I did this segment, I was finding myself overeating and, feeling quite full at the end of the day, fuller than I needed to be, past the point of being satisfied. And now, because I know that I'm tracking my food intake, even though it wasn't to limit my intake, it was just so I can understand what my macros were, it actually has caused me to just stop and take a pause and say, okay, well, am I actually hungry, or am I just wanting to eat that because, cheese or whatever it happens to be? I'm feeling a bit snackish. So, if you are finding that you are occasionally overeating or snacking too much, then perhaps tracking your food for a period of time in an easy to use app might actually give you an opportunity to correct that without really doing anything much else. Now, for those of us in places like America and Australia where we celebrate Christmas and it's a time of eating lots of, really high calorie foods and lots of sweet things often, that can be a problem for some of us, and it can mean that you may end up going off plan for a while. And for some of you who are really disciplined, it's not a problem for you. So, more power to you. So if you are in a situation where you find yourself like you're eating more off-plan food than what you would prefer, then just don't be too hard on yourself. Don't let that end up being, well, I'm just going to forget about my diet for the next 3 months until this is all over. Usually when you do go off plan, it's just one meal, or it may even be one day, but just get back on the horse the next day. It's okay. Just start over again. And get good at starting over again if you find that you have gone off plan. The better that you are at starting over, the quicker that you are at starting over, the quicker that you're going to feel better, and the quicker that you're just going to continue on with making the progress that you've been making. So that's all for this week. I should have another dishwashing philosopher for you next week. See what comes up. I love you all. I wish you all very well. I hope you all get to have some time off, spend some time with family or friends, or just with yourself, if that's the sort of thing that you enjoy. And I think you should probably check out this video here next. Yeah, that one does seem like a pretty good one for you. I reckon you should have a look at that. You gonna check it out? All right, I'll see you later.